Ladies and gentlemen, kan ik iedereen vragen om iets naar voren te komen? Ik bijt niet. I want bite. Really? Maybe the speakers, but... Yeah, better. Yeah, it looks way better so. Elsewise, you're in the back. I hope you all had a really good lunch. You're ready for the second part of the conference. You're full of energy. As you all know, Amsterdam wants to be a city, a carless city, especially in the city center. But what does a vision like that mean for the city? The aim is to get rid of 12,500 parking spots in 2025. And we're here during this first breakout session to look at the impact of such a decision. We are going to do that with 3 inspiration cases. First of all, we are going to Germany, to the south of Germany, to the city of Freiburg in the Schwarzwald. Representative of the City Council of Freiburg is here, Hans-Jörg Swander, and he's going to tell you more about the neighborhood of Vauban. Do I pronounce it well, like that? Vauban. Vauban is a for car-free cities is a big example. It's already car-free for 20 years. It's an historic neighborhood in that way. And Hans-Jörg is going to tell us more about Vauban. After Germany, we take the train back to the Netherlands. We're going to Utrecht, to the neighborhood of the Merwede Canal zone. It's a new neighborhood in Utrecht. It will be constructed in the next years. It's a neighborhood with 6,000 to 10,000 houses, and in that new neighborhood, the car will be the guest. And Nieuw Raad is here, or Nieuw Glas, sorry, is here to tell more. Yeah, turn around your card. Yeah, better. Yeah, Nieuw Glas is here to. He's working for the City Council of Utrecht, and he's going to tell more about how they're going to do it and how does it going to look like. And after Utrecht, we're really going back to Amsterdam, to the Sluisbuurt and Steigereiland. It's on Eiburg. It's a little bit farther east here. And we have a presentation where we're going to take a look into that neighborhood, how they're going to do and want to do it there. So first I want to give the microphone to Hans-Jörg. Step up, please. Here you are.
So hello. So I'm not a representative from the city of Freiburg. I'm the founder of Innovation Academy. We are a non-profit association, and but we are working very close together with municipality of Freiburg. And what we are doing environmental education. We have about 350 delegations every year. And we are working on projects in Freiburg, long-term projects for education. A little bit crazy project, for example, paprika instead of parking. Or another project is blooming industrial areas, a long-term project with apprentices. But now I want to present you Freiburg first, and then we will speak about the model district of Vauban. So I think it will be green here. Okay. So some of you were in Freiburg? I don't know. Oh, nearly all. Why I have to speak about. Okay. So you know where it is in the three-angle region. There you see on one side the French side, and then the Swiss side is also not far away, about 65 kilometers is Basel. And you know we are the capital of the Black Forest. Yes. And not far away, you see also one picture from the Kaiserstuhl. And you have to know that in the 1970s, there we have had a big discussion about the nuclear power plants. And this only that you have the background that we learned in that time one thing, that if the policy want one thing and we as citizens want another thing, we have to show what we really want. And therefore, we have had a big discussion. And until today, it's very important, the citizen participation. So in the morning, we have heard about the policy. We have heard about the urban planners. Now you will hear something about participation, civic participation. So that you have an idea that Freiburg is, from the view of Chinese, like a small village, 230,000 inhabitants we have there. And I said it, we are the capital of the Black Forest, so the people commuting to Freiburg, working there. And you see, we have also some out-commuters because Basel is not far away and you earn much more money there. Yes. And our biggest industry is our university, with about 33,000 students. And what is also important that we have quite a lot of tourism, so more than Heidelberg, which is not far away. Okay, so you see a little bit Freiburg, 153 square kilometers, and you see there big areas, big green areas, and these are landscape protected areas, and you see also one is nature protected area. And you have to know that we are a boom city like Frankfurt, like Munich, like Hamburg. And what is important, if you are living in a booming city, the prices go up and up. Yes. So we are now the most expensive city in Germany if you compare the income and the price and the rent for apartment. So now I want to show you only some points that you understand Freiburg. So the market and retail center concept is one of the biggest points to reduce the traffic. So this means if you want to build a supermarket somewhere, you can't do this in the surroundings of Freiburg. So you could do this only in the district centers. Yes? In former times, we have done some mistakes. You see this in the industrial areas there. You see there some not integrated. These are the red points there. And today, we have only these green points, which is possible. You can't do this in the surroundings of Freiburg. So this is a very, very important point. You see here also the second, in former times we have had only a farmer's market around the cathedral. And today we have 16 farmers markets. So this means you get the fresh products. If you are living in a district with about more than 10,000 inhabitants, you will have this 2 times. This means on Wednesday afternoon and on Saturday morning. Yeah? So you could come with a class and you get the fresh cheese there inside. This is very important that you get directly the fresh products from the farmers, yes, without plastic around. You know, we have so much plastic everywhere, yes. Some people have this in their head, in their blood, yes. And we see it every day and hear it. So what is also important, you see, the development, for example, of this bridge, which is directly lying beside our main station. And the so-named Blue Bridge, in former times we have had hearses, and in the 1970s also a tramway, then only car traffic, and now we have there, you learn a little bit German, Fahrradstraße, yes? And only pedestrian and cyclists. And also we have their counters, so we know that now the Freiburg people learning to go more and more by bike. So we see also in winter time we have a rising numbers and figures of cyclists. And you see here the development of whole Freiburg from 1982 until 2016, the modal split. So you see here only 21% of the traffic in Freiburg, or the ways in Freiburg, were done by car. And Heidelberg is directly behind us with 22%, yes? But so until today, we are the best in Germany. Okay, so now I come to the two districts here. We have on one side Rieselfeld, where I'm living, and Vauban. So Rieselfeld was the first model district with about 10,000 inhabitants, and Vauban with 5,500 inhabitants. So Rieselfeld with 78 hectares and Vauban with about 38 hectares. So. And now you see the big transformation. No, excuse me. It's not function. Okay. So normally there should be a picture from former times because it was a military barrack. Yes, a military barrack, and they're built by the German militarists in the 1930s, and then after the Second World War, the French army occupied. And then 1991, our French friends said, au revoir, we go back to France. And then we have had another 38 hectares, which was very important in the 1930s, not in the 1930s, the 1990s, to get more space as an increasing city. And now you see what is really important, citizen involvement, and now I want to present this more and more, because you see here, also there should be a picture, but we have had a military barrack, and the city of Freiburg wanted to knock down this military barrack and also want to build in front quite a lot of buildings. But the citizens said, no, this will be not a good idea. We want to work with this former building, which was a canteen, military canteen for the German militarists, then for the French militarists, and today it could be a meeting point, a community center. And so this was a big discussion, and last not least, you see, we have this also in front with a farmer's market, yeah, on Wednesday. And now you see the development. You see the development of this district. You see this green area. And this is now very important. In the English-spoken literature, you will find Vauban is a car-free district. It's totally wrong. It's a car parking-free district. Yes? And not everywhere, only in this green part. Yes? But this is the biggest part of this district. So this means why we have done this. So in the first time, I worked also in a working group there, like we have had working groups thinking about the district for buildings or women in a group, how you could live at women's much more better, like in former districts and so on. So we have had different groups, and we spoke about the topic of traffic. And the idea is normally in Germany, if you have the multi-family home, then you have underground parking. And all the people are living inside. If they have a car or if they haven't, they pay for this underground garage. Underground garage today costs about 35,000 euro. Yeah? So, and we said, okay, we have to change this. So it should be that if you have a car, then you should pay. Yeah? And if you have no car, no. So then we have also to know that until the last 2 years, it was like this, that if you have an apartment, you have to show one space, parking space. Yeah? And now it changed, but we think here about, I speak about the 1990s, and therefore it's very important to know this. Here, you see here, no, I have to go back. We have now this 2 parking spaces where if you have a car, you pay 25,000 euro. Yeah? Not every day. Yeah? It's one fee. Yes. Okay. So, and if you have no car and then we have to. We found another possibility, and this was, you see this blue space there, and this is a virtual garage. This means to show that these people who have no car, they have to come together to join to an association, and then to pay 3,500 euro for this space. And if they would tomorrow want and have an electrical car or whatever, then we have to build a third garage. This was a possibility for this law. Now the law is changed. Yeah? Now this means we could arrange this. Every municipality could say, okay, I want 0.5 cars for one apartment, or 0.4, and so on. These are the possibilities today. But in that time, we have to find a solution to come around this law. And you see here, this is a master plan. You see this green spaces there. And this was then the planning with all the ideas. I said it from the women about the cities, and then, for example, solar and the possibility for renewable energy and the mobility. And then there was done such a competition, an urban competition, and this was the winner. And you see the green spaces there. This was the idea because on this side there, here you see there we have a mountain. Yeah, 650 meter high, and there is coming the wind down, and the hang wind is coming down and thrashing the district. Yeah? This is of course very important because, you know, we get higher temperature and so on, and therefore we need a ventilation of this district. You see the black part there, or the brown part there. This is also very important. There you could work. We have about 500 employees in the district. Yes, so. And this is, last not least, then the result. Normally in Germany we have 57 cars per 100 inhabitants, and now we have in Wobor 20. And this is the child-friendly environment. And this means we have here in this part of the district the living streets means step-by-step velocity. Yes. So this means 5 to 6, and the needle have not to move. Yeah. Of course, some are runnings, yes, but this is too quick then, yes. Okay, so these are pictures from some weeks ago. There, very important is the common sense. The idea, for example, to see this open, like in former villages, so the people could sit there around and have a party with pizza or bread and so on, yes. Or spaces for the children and for the kindergarten, they use it. And now to the last picture I want to show you there, paprika instead of parking. These are some activities what we are doing. And for example, with pupils metering this parking space. Yes, so 12 square meter. You could imagine 12 square meter are space for a one children room. Yes, 12 square meter. 12 square meter could be space for 36 plants of paprika. It could be about 50 kilogram potatoes. Yes. So these are and this is what we have to learn. That space, yes, is and it could be also for nature protection and so on. What we need animals, we need all, and therefore not only a parking space. So we have to think about space for the future, and this is very important. And not only the policy and the urban planners, also always together with the people, which should live in a district and should be inside the planning. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Hans-Jörg. What I was wondering, do you have a neighborhood like this in Heidelberg?
Yes, of course, not like this, but they have a new neighborhood directly near the station. Yes, it's a wonderful, of course, I visited this, yes.
Better or the same, more or less?
No, more cars.
More cars,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any questions? Or is everything clear? or do you think, well, at home I'm gonna, well, there's a. Hans-Jörg has hearing problems, so he's coming with me. He follows me, and so he can read your lips. So, yeah.
Is there a specific target group of people that are attracted by this type of neighborhood?
If there were people who organized
which target group of people? Normally we see that families might not be attracted by the neighborhood because they want to have their own car. How is your experience in that?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, in Freiburg, we have had the problems in the 1990s. We have had 6,000 people waiting for apartments. And the young families, because the same problem we have now again, the prices were up and up. And people have to go out, so this means they went to the French side, Alsace, and then to come back 30, 40 kilometers to work in Freiburg, or in the Black Forest and villages and so on. Then the city council said, okay, we have to do something. And then we started with Wieselfeld, so this is another district for 10,000 inhabitants. And what we have seen, that the families are coming back to Freiburg, living in Freiburg, and so therefore we have had no problems with families. So Wieselfeld, there we have about 33% are children between 0 and 18 years old. In Vauban, these are 30%. So you see families were coming in that time back to Freiburg. So no problems with families. So, and of course they were also happy because they were also inside the planning process. Like I said, I worked in such a group, and they were all inside and discussed and to find a solution to reduce the traffic in the district. This is what we wanted, that the children can go out and could play on the road without being anxious. Yeah? So we want life quality, we want to hear the birds and so on.
Here, another question. Oh, wait, one. Yeah.
Yes, so has the model of Vauban, has it had any impact as far as inspiring other parts of the city, so other districts in Freiburg?
Now, because we have the same problems, I said it's too expensive again, we have to build now a new district for about 15,000 inhabitants. A new district. We have had a referendum some weeks ago. 40% were against the new district because it's on the green lawn or on the acres, on the agricultural land, and 60% are for the new district. Yes, and this new district will, there is the impact of Vauban. We want to reduce, of course, the traffic there. We want to have also such parking, high-rise garages, and to work only mostly with car sharing associations and some possibilities with car sharing and so on. To reduce the traffic is, of course, the big demand. Yes.
Okay, last question. Then we're going back to the Netherlands.
To clarify my question, so I'm talking also about existing neighborhoods, you know, like Vire or any other place, so already built neighborhoods.
Oh, the built neighborhood. Now we speak about this, that everywhere we want to reduce the traffic, but what is missing, that we do also starting with garages, high-rises garages, and to reduce the traffic. So this is on discussion, but we haven't done it. So we have a new neighborhood, also again with underground garages. Why? Because in Vauban, we have, of course, we have said, like everywhere, it's not in the heaven, yes? So we have everywhere, we have problems. So there were some of these people who said, I have no car. they have a car, but the number is on Hamburg, for example, for the grandpa or grandma, and then the boy is directly at the south border to the next town, and then they bring the car in front of their homes in the next town. Yeah. But everywhere, if you have quite a lot of shepherd, yeah, you have white shepherds and you have one black shepherd. Yeah. This is everywhere the same story. And then there could be the problem that some see only the black shepherds and see not the white shepherds. Yeah? And this is a little bit the policy. And we hope, but now with the new district, that we could arrange this in another way.
Okay, Hans-Jörg, thank you. You have to grab your train back 2:30 to Freiburg, yes. So hurry up. And thanks a lot.
I have half an hour.
Okay, you will make it. You will make it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Put the mic here. So we're going back to the Netherlands, to Utrecht. Neil, the words to you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Neil. I'm working at the municipality of Utrecht. Showing some picture of Utrecht. For those who don't know Utrecht, it's the 4th largest city in the Netherlands. And the characteristics of the city is that it has the biggest university of the Netherlands. And it's centrally located in the heart of the Netherlands. And very well located amongst all major transport lines. And that makes the city the fastest growing city of the Netherlands. And our ambition is to embrace the growth. We want the city to keep growing, and we want to do it in a sustainable way. And we want to keep the students, the happy, high-educated people, and keep it a happy, healthy, and compact city. And in our mission to grow, or in the progress of growing, we of course face challenges, and the main challenges are mobility. You can see in the city of Utrecht that especially during rush hours we are reaching the absorption points of all modes of transportation. And just like Dan Zandbelt said this morning, we look at mobility not as a river, so we don't want to try to create more space for mobility, but we want to change the way we look at mobility and change the mobility of the city so that we can keep growing in a healthy way. And before I'm going to tell you about how we're going to do it, I want to first look back at the history. As you can see, Utrecht has been exploding. It's not only the fastest growing city of the Netherlands now, but it has been growing. It started as a small Roman ground in the 1st century, and then it's kept growing. And as you can see, the growth of the city has always been in the green surroundings. And some years ago, the government of Utrecht decided to have infill locations to intensify the land use. And one of the priority neighborhoods is the Merwede Kanaalzone, where I work. And on the picture behind me, you can see that we're attaching the growth from the city, the landfill, the intensification next to the city center. We're going east from the central station towards the canal, the Merwede Kanaal. That's why the name is Merwede Kanaalzone, and intensifying all the way south. And I'm working as a project manager on Merwede, and here you can see the plot. And we chose to make the city grow not by filling in a park. We keep the park green, and we're intensifying the land next to it. It's now an industrial site, and of course we're not going to just take away everything that's there. One of the reasons that people go to cities and the reasons why cities grow is because of the employment. So we try to keep employment and add houses. And we've made a plan. We're making actually 2 plans. We're having a vision for the whole zone, and we're already making a more concrete plan for the district of Merwede. It's going to be a healthy, mixed, sustainable new neighborhood, and we're aiming at 6,000 houses in this neighborhood and 6,000 to 10,000 in the zone. And we're not doing it alone. As the municipality, we are owing about 1/3, more than a third of the ground. So I'm working together with different landowners, and I can always say that I'm the biggest landowner because we have the biggest part of the plot. And we're working together with 7 other owners, or actually 6. There's one that's not participating. And that makes us a very complex situation. The thing is that since the municipality decided to intensify the land use, a lot of investment companies and development companies got interested and started buying out the industries, which increases the value of the ground and makes things more difficult, but also facilitates a lot because we're also working together now with very professional parties who really know how to create a neighborhood. And as with the 6 of them, we decided to make the best plan possible, and that means we have to make all the landowners lift their view from their specific plot and look at the whole plan. And this is what we want, all of the landowners. We want a green and a car-free area. And this is a picture of how we visualize our plans. It's Marco Broekman, our city architect, city designer who designed the neighborhood. And the primary object of the plan is that we make housing streets for the people who live there only accessible for pedestrians. And the pedestrians, the people who live there, are going to meet. And when they leave the street where they live, they're going to first enter a square like this, for example. And on these squares, we want facilities like primary schools, kindergarten, maybe a supermarket, coffee bar, the basic necessities that you need most when you leave the house. And only when you walk a little further, you'll find other types of mobility. So the idea is, as you can see on the one above, is there's unlimited access for all pedestrians. And then second modality is the bicycle, which has access all around the project and also in 2 horizontal lines throughout the project, so that you always first meet things you need first, then you meet the cycling path, and then later on at the edges of the city you'll meet the public transportation. That's on 3 sides of the new neighborhood, and only on one side, only on the west side, you will have 4 accesses to the car and to parking garages. So this way we stimulate the walking. This is also how we chose the facilities. Like I said, we want to keep employment and keep a lot of facilities so that people who live in Merwede can find most of their necessities inside the neighborhood. And just like Dan Sandblad said this morning, it cannot be a crowded party everywhere. So we're not mixing all the functions equally amongst the neighborhood. Like I said, we start at the living streets, then the squares where you can meet your neighbors, then we have the cycle path areas where we put the facilities that aim for and attract people for the whole southeast region of the city, and only on the west side where all the mobility modalities meet is where we have facilities like hotels and more expensive restaurants that attract people from all over the city. And this way we want to drastically have less cars. We are reaching for a parking norm of 0.3, so less than 1 car for every 3 houses. And as you can see here, we also in one of those for one of the 3 parking places, one is a shared car. And for the people who really want to keep their own cars because they need it for remote working places or to visit families, we can also have parking at a distance. We aim for 2 mobility hubs in the neighborhood as mobility as a service. Well, actually we say mobility as a service is part of the whole system. It starts with the design of the city. It starts with how we choose to allocate things. And we also need 2 physical places where you can meet the services that you need for mobility as a service. That can be like the places where you can receive packages that you receive on the internet, and or bring things with your car and then transport it into a bicycle or an electrical car. It can also be a place where if you rent a car, you have a person that can put car seats for the children inside the car. And the mobility as a service is much bigger than those two service points. We're offering a whole scale of mobility, especially virtually on the telephone, so that everybody who lives in Merwede can choose for every trip what kind of mobility you use. And of course, we hope people will choose walking and cycling and public transportation, but of course you always will have people who work in a remote area, and then you can offer them a small car to drive only you to your work, or if you want, like the picture here, if you're a family and you want to visit your family is remote, you can choose a station wagon. If you want to move something, you can choose a van, and that whole aspect is how we create the mobility hubs. I think I'm going way too fast. So there's more pictures of how we want a neighborhood to be. It's going to be very intense, dense neighborhood. We're aiming about, like I said, 6,000 houses and 100,000 meters of facilities on 24 acres. And that makes it possible to achieve these mobility services. And it also makes it possible to really reduce the amount of carbon emission. The calculations we made here is that most emission of carbon is not made by cars and buses and transportation, but it's the people itself breathing on their bicycles and breathing and walking. And well, we're really willing to start soon. We're really now making in the decision phase, in the negotiation phase, and we're hoping to start soon. And then I hopefully will meet you very soon in Utrecht, where you can see all these things functioning.
Thank you, Neil. It's always good to meet a big landowner. Is it hard for you? Was it hard for you to convince the other commercial partners in this plan?
It's always difficult to make them think about the bigger picture and just leave their own small land plot. But as I can say it again, as the biggest landowner, you have a big say. And also, I'm in those meetings like a kind of a schizophrene. I'm both the big landowner, but I'm also the public municipality who helps the decision making, make the plans, the legislation. So we have a lot of influence on the other landowners to make the plans. And you can also do it on, well, kind of more simple things, like we have the city plan is a very complex project. It's almost too big for one person to lead. So we subdivided into a lot of themes, and we made one landowner responsible for one theme. So that's how we force the landowners to leave their plot in their minds and take responsibility for one theme in the whole plans. And that helps to
bit by bit.
Them to think bigger.
Okay, thank you. We're quite short of time, so I understand you all have a lot of questions. I think we have time for one question, and for the other questions, keep them to yourself. And Neil will stay here, so step up later. Is there somebody who wants to ask something? Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. My question is about planning for flexibility. So you have a vision about the types of mobility that will be used, the kinds of commercial and personal or private residences that will be there. How do you plan for flexibility? What if we see new mobility trends that are not known yet arise in the market? Do you think about this, or how do you plan for that?
Well, of course, we're forced to think about it, and that's one of the advantages of working together with commercial landowners. They're really specialized in researching the market and finding out what people want, what people desire, and they really bring a lot of input into the plans, so that we really, like those pictures that I saw about the facilities that we want, there's a world of research behind it. It's not just a lucky guess. And for the flexibility, as a government, we're we're struggling with this, and so we're also thinking about maybe not concluding the plan for the whole 6,000 houses as one plan, but to maybe to make some phases in it and keep monitoring it.
Thank
But
you.
it's a struggle.
Thank you, Neil.
Okay.
Now we're can I give the mic? I give the mic. Now we're coming back to Amsterdam. Can I give the word to Jan Straub?
Okay, welcome everybody. I'm not going to introduce Amsterdam to you, except from this page. I'm doing this presentation together with my colleague, Steven Puilaert. I'm doing a short presentation on Sluisbuurt, which is on Zeeburger Eiland, close to the city center, as you can see in this drawing. And Steven will talk about the newest extension of Eiburg, which is a man-made land into the IJmeer. And at the end, we will compare some of the characteristics of the two developments. So Sluisbuurt is quite near the city center. So the city center is the moon-shaped, half-moon-shaped figure on the top. It's about 4 kilometers from Dam Square, or a bit less to the city hall, and equally the same to Central Station. You can see it on the sides as well. So Sluisbuurt is closer to the city center, and Strandeiland is somewhat further away. This is the current situation. So it's bare land. It's a brownfield development. Municipality owns all the land, full 100%. We dictate everything. We offer land lease contracts to developers, and it's take it or leave it. No negotiations, not about price, not about program. We dictate everything. Hooray for Stalinism. Well, that's fun. We have an urban plan, which I will show you later. There's also a zoning plan, which is now under scrutiny of the highest administrative judge, the Raad van State in Dutch, and we are awaiting their ordeal somewhere in November. But at the same time, we're already negotiating with a University of Applied Sciences, Hogeschool in Holland in Dutch, a big apartment development for the first 100-meter tower, and student housing accompanying the University of Applied Sciences. And we hope that construction will start next April, so that's only 11.5 months, and everyone is getting nervous. The urban plan is quite traditional. So this is the layout of the streets, rectangular blocks with some green areas within. On top of that, blocks of normal city blocks to a height of 20 meters. And on top of those, we have a set of towers, the highest of 125 meters, but that's only one. This enables a program of about 5,500 apartments, 100,000 square meters of other functions on a total development area of 26 hectares. And on this scale, it's not has been accomplished yet in Amsterdam, this density. So it has a density of approximately 200 houses per hectare. And to compare it, there's an area in the city center, Westerdorps Eiland, which has the same density, but it's much smaller. And the big advantage of this density is that you have a big function mix. So you will have schools and shops and bars all in walking distance, and at the same time be in a biking distance from the city center. And unless Vauban and unless Merwede, this is not a green area. It has streets with sidewalks, cars driving on it, cars even parking on the streets, and a lot of bikes. It's always fun in these pictures if the people who are in the picture are all in the same, dressed for the same climate. So some people are wearing as if it's summer and others are dressed as if it's winter. Well, that was the main street with the shops, and this is one of the side streets where there's a mix of housing, people sitting on their porch, but also people living in towers, lower blocks, higher blocks, etc. And also cars parking in the street. And this is one of the canals. By incident, there is no car in this picture, but that's more or less by incident. Some numbers. I named most of them. In a total, we are allowed to develop 2,000 plus parking spaces, from which 240 are on street and all the others are in parking buildings off street. Of those off-street parking places, we need 380 for visitors, and the others are for the inhabitants. So that leaves some 1,500 parking spaces for the inhabitants for 5,500 homes. And we think that we need about 300 parking spaces for shared cars, for car sharing. That leaves 1,200 parking spaces for people to own their private car, which means that about 80% of households don't have a private car. That means that you need alternatives, alternatives for private car ownership, well, biking, ferries, etc. You can imagine. So we need to improve and extend the bike infrastructure. We are doing research into a new biking bridge or biking tunnel, which shortens the distance to the city center. These are the alternatives. The blue one on the right-hand bottom is the current bridge, which needs to be improved because it's too narrow to give room for all the bikes that are already using it and that we expect that will be using it in the future. We need to also improve and expand public transport. The big line that moves from the top left to bottom right is an existing tram line. It needs to be improved, and we're doing a research into a new transport line from the existing neighborhoods in the east of Amsterdam also to Zeeburg-Eiland. Yes, and then we have to do something with car sharing, and that's a big question for us. We don't actually know what to do. Well, you need shared cars. They cannot be parked, all of them, in the street because we have limited car park in the street. So some of them need to be off-street parked. The one on the bottom of the right is an example from the city we call 010. It's a good example where in private buildings, the communities of those buildings own their own shared cars. And because the top one, the car-to-go, is a public system which is parked on the street, and you need a mixture of those types. And what we're doing now is an exploration, a research into, we put out a question on the market, what kind of car sharing model should we use, who should use it, should everyone be able to use it, if it's parked in a private car park, should anyone be able to enter the private car park to use the car sharing modus, who's going to pay for it, who is going to supply it, is it the municipality or are there private partners doing it, all those questions. And that's not only for the people who can afford to, but also for the people who are not having high incomes, because our municipality also wants mobility for the people without big incomes. In the first place, you would expect to put the shared cars into the parking houses of the expensive apartments, because those are the people who can afford them most easily, but you also need to supply them to other people. And this is a last warning, of which you can see that I don't believe in technology. It's a warning that we should supply, especially for walking, biking, and transport, and be careful with the number of cars that we let into the area. And now I hand over the microphone and this thing to Steven.
Yes, as Jan already explained, we're going to compare Sluisbuurt with the other neighborhood you see on the screen, Strandeiland. And I'm going to tell you something about Strandeiland. I'm Steven. I work as mobility consultant for Studio Bereikbaar and the municipality of Amsterdam. And the project I've been working on is the accessibility plan for the whole eastern islands in Amsterdam. And today I'll zoom into Strandeiland, and at the end we'll compare Sluisbuurt with Strandeiland. And there you can see that for a different neighborhood, we choose a different tactic for mobility. Well, Strandeiland. We had greenfield development, brownfield development, and this is bluefield development. Actually, you see some sand there. That's not Strandeiland, that's Centrum-eiland. And Strandeiland is now being built by the dredging company Boskalis. So it's a newly built island in the Markermeer. And you see at the end, you see there Eiburg. And all the way up, you see the city of Amsterdam and Amsterdam South at the top left. And we're going to make a place for people to live, work, and to recreate. In the end, 8,000 houses are going to be built there. And there's going to be a working place for almost 2,000 people there. And we also focus on recreation. So there's going to be a beach built. So there's already now at the end of Eiburg a beach, and we're going to make a new beach at Strandeiland. The first houses are going to be built we're going to start the building of the houses in 2023, and we try to hand over the first keys to the inhabitants in 2024. So I think we can meet what is said this morning, that we want to have a nearly developed neighborhood by 2025. And as you can see, it's mainly focused on houses, and we want to make a neighborhood which is fit for mainly families, but also 1- and 2-person households. Strandeiland consists of different districts. On the top north, we have the Pampusbuurt. It's a more formal buurt neighborhood, 5 levels high, and at the south there's the Muiderbuurt, 3 stories high. And at the Havenkom, that's the city center, the center of Strandeiland, and there will also be the shops, and a swimming pool will be there. And you also see the Strandboulevard, there will be the beach. And down the south we have the Makerskade, where the employment, but also some living will be combined. And as Jan already explained, we're gonna not only build for the high incomes, 40% of the island will be social housing, 25% will be mid-range, and 35% will be for the top range. Well, and now I'm gonna switch from the urban perspective more to the mobility. As you can see, Strandeiland is located somewhat more outside of Amsterdam. It's 11 kilometers to the city center and to Amsterdam Central Station. And you can also see that other train stations. Hey. Well, then we need to look at. Oh, we're going to start again. Ananda. Well, I hope to continue, and we go to continue with the screens on the left and the right. Oh, it's back.
Yeah, there it is.
Nice. But we moved in time. Can I switch back? No. Yeah, I was here. Train station, I guess I was. So it's somewhat farther away from train stations, so that's why we're gonna extend the existing tram line, which is there on Eiburg, so the iTram, to get you on a fast way to the central station. And we're also gonna add 2 fast buses, one to Weesp to get you to Almere and further, and one to get you to Belmer Arena, where also many people work. And from there you can also get a train to Utrecht. However, not only train stations are close by, also the A1 and the A10. So also highways are quite close. And still Strandeiland, we're thinking of a concept of making it emission-free, so a carbon-free island. So we're thinking about not letting you in if you have a carbon-fueled car. And also the same should hold maybe for boats, which should come there. So you can still row there, but not come with your diesel engine-powered boat, if you like. And this is the total mobility plan we have. Well, you can see our priority is to first focus on walking and biking, and then have the public transport there, then focus on smart mobility and sharing, and at last focus on the car. We don't want to have people have no cars, because we know this is a place, it's not in a city center located, it's 11 kilometers away. So we allow people to have a car, but we want to make it more a sharing environment and to lower the car use as far as possible. So you see here in blue all the public transport investments we're going to do, and in green the bike, and in yellow the things we're going to do with smart mobility and sharing, and on the purple there are some car changes we're going to make, because in the whole environment, the whole Eiburg area, there are going to be 2.8 times as many people living, so we need more infrastructure there. Here you can see the plot of Strandeiland, and you can see the parking space, the places where you can get on the Eitram and on the buses. And there are circles of 400 meters, so you can see that almost the whole island is within 400 to 500 meters walking distance from a good public transport accessibility point. And there are two things I want to focus on now. The first we're going to work on this year is to work on a more e-bike oriented program. So as Strandeiland is further away, we want to have people, we don't think everyone will cycle 11 kilometers to the central station, but we're going to enlarge their range by focusing on e-bikes. And the other thing is the hubs. And last half year we worked on the hub concept. And Posat, Arcades and Deloitte have helped us with that. And together with them we developed a vision on the mobility hubs. And in this vision we want to see that the bikes and public transport are nearby and want to place the cars on a distance. So we want to have less cars, less trips by car, and especially on the island, to make the island more car-free. And also try to make it emission-free, and by that making a balance between the livability and the accessibility of the island. And this is one of the concepts. We're still thinking of what we want to have in final, so I'm also curious to all your reactions as experts. But this is a concept we have now. And that's the concept of community hubs. So we want to have 20 to 25 hubs, which are in a walking distance of 150 meters. So with 200 households, you share one hub. And in that hub, all your private cars should be parked there, but also car sharing is there. And we choose for the community hubs because the hubs then have a small scale, so they're not that large. And it makes that 70% of all the streets on Strandeiland can be car-free. So then the 40 to 65% of all households should have their own car. And the mobility hubs will be rather small, 30 to 50 meters, and 2 to 4 levels high. I see that I'm almost out of time, so what I'm going to do is show you the last picture of the hub and then a comparison. As you can see here, we want to have the sharing services on the ground floor so you can easily access them, and the more private-owned facilities more on top, so you feel them more on a distance and you're more eager to use the shared ones. And this is a comparison, so you see the last slide, so you can see the two differences, 2 different neighborhoods, and you see that we choose 2 different tactics for the 2 different neighborhoods. See that I'm out of time?
Yeah, we have a really tight schedule,
yeah.
so people are running through the building now. But thank you, Stephen. And I hope later on people can come to you and you can explain a little bit more about Eiburg and what's going on there. Thank you. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Neil. And a good journey back to Germany, Herr Swander.
In 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah, and the other persons also have 1 minute more or less to go to the next breakout session, or you just stay here. It's also possible. Maybe better, more relaxing. Thank you for being here.